From the tussles on some of the most renowned circuits on the planet to what may be a frantic street fight. Welcome to the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, courtesy of Formula Premier. We are racing once more on the Baku City Street Circuit, a race that has delivered enthralling action ever since its inauguration to the Formula One calendar back in 2016. We have seen hectic moments throughout the years at this circuit. We have seen hectic moments in Formula Premier, and we are about to see yet more. 11 drivers on the grid for today, and 11 drivers who look to compete and claim supremacy on this Saturday afternoon. After a one-week break due to the rather irritating issues to the Formula One game, we are back, and we are back at Baku. So then, the driver's heading out on track, and now we have Slick just coming out of the pits, seemingly crossing the line on pit lane exit, momentarily bringing out the yellow flags. But the Haas, who has looked so quick at points this season, he has been very, very strong in qualifying in the top four in each of the first three races so far this season. He lies second in the standings, but this may not be the best way to get his session going. Of course, Slick, as much as he has proven some scintillating speeds, he just has not been able to rein our two-time champion in Gupta, once more looking to claim the bragging rights in Baku, but he will have an almighty stiff challenge forcing down upon him. But an 18-minute qualifying session here today, and well, there's Matsuvo in the Aston Martin on his outlap, spinning through the exits there of, I want to say turn 6, but Matsuvo, who has really not had the best start to his season. We have seen the speed he is able to deliver in this racing league, which has not been able to be shown so far this season, but he will continue on to register his first lap in this qualifying session here in the land of fire. Can he recapture his red hot form going into the first corner, running out wide and bashing into the barriers? He manages to escape damage, but it's an early wake-up call for Matsuvo. But he continues on in his green machine. So far this season, Matt's only having a best qualifying starting position of 9th place. Unfortunately, he was not able to partake in qualifying last week, but we know the propensity, his ability. It is startling, it is staggering, and we yearn for it to be delivered on this stage. But Matt entering the second sector, going into turn 7, the castle section awaits. Let's ride on board then with the Aston Martin hitting the curbs precisely, tellingly that he is launching his utmost to bring about a strong result here. Aston Martin, who secured their first podium in Formula One courtesy of Sebastian Vettel last year. Matt certainly wants to replicate that form for the Silverstone outfit here in Azerbaijan, but after the end of his second sector, it looks like he is, compared to, I think it's the J-Lol ahead, he does seem quicker, or it may be Gatekeeper. But Matsuvo now down the start-finish rate. Indeed, it is Gatekeeper who registers a lap time of a 1:49.599. The Aston Martin of Matt looks to demolish it. With DRS wide open, he eases towards the line and goes significantly quicker than the Williams. Let's see who else is on a lap. Remy in the AlphaTauri through the exit of turn 16. Let's see what he can do. Let's see what Slick can do. And what he has delivered is a lap time within the 140s. We've leapt up into the 139s. And Slick in the hat, setting the pace so far. But now we have Robbo Snipes in the Ferrari around the final few turns, trying to reach the line. Grimmy 1.4 seconds down on Slick. As we see the lap times tumbling, we'll see how good that time from Slick was, but Gupta has beaten it by over 0.6 of a second. So it's Gupta from Slick, then Grimmy, then Robbo Snipes, but DeGrotte slotting his Aston Martin onto the second row. Now we have the J-Lo in the Williams, who's had a bit of a mixed bag in qualifying so far this season, but a P3 start provisionally will most certainly be welcomed for the Williams. So it is now Gupta from Slick, from the J-Lo, with Grimmy in fourth. And our attention momentarily turns to Hydrant in the Red Bull, coming through then turn 19 on towards turn 20, down the long start-finish straight. It looks like he's getting a bit of a slipstream from the Williams ahead of him, but Hydrant will clear the line and he will slot his Red Bull into P3. So a nice healthy lap time and a healthy position so far for the Red Bull. That would be very much welcome for him. Zazon Bodka then in the McLaren. He's now starting a lap of this track. He's going to head towards turn 3. He's made Q3 in the pole. He's made it into the top 10 in the past 2 qualifying sessions, has Zazon Bodka. Of course, it's no long qualifying format today. We had just the short qualifying session, but Zazon Bodka looking to revive his form on 1 lap speed, adorning this McLaren livery, which was introduced for the Singapore Grand Prix and ran during the Japanese Grand Prix. I must say, it does look really, really mean. Oh, but it's not mean enough to drift Zazon Bodka away from a minor mistake. Through the castle section, he bashes into the barrier, knocks off his front wing. Well, knocks off parts of his front wing, possibly wounds some other parts of that McLaren chassis, but Zazon Bodka with a bit of a scare early on in this qualifying session. He hits the wall once more. He absolutely staggered if he avoided damage. Let's make sure that damage is on. Oh, car damage is actually off. So that's why Zazon Bodka has not incurred any damage. It's not going to be applied in this qualifying session, so that is not a particularly representative lap time from Zazon Bodka. So then, in this qualifying session, Hydrant has left the session. That may suggest to me that we may need to restart this lobby. Just keeping one eye on the Discord chat at the moment, just to see if anything is going to come about. So then, I'm just wondering, okay, so then it looks like we will be transferring to another lobby after qualifying. But let's now focus on the progress of Slick, who provisionally is on the front row, but as he blasts through the first apex of this Baku City Street circuit, he looks to rein in our championship leader. In the hats after such a strong start to Season 3 of Formula Premiere, he looks to progress on here at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix to thwart Gupta's dominance. And let's see if he can do just that. Through the first third of the lap, through the exit of turn 4, Slick is up. And he sets the quickest first sector we have seen so far. Gupta has shown his speed so far, but Slick may just start to show his hand. A 1:39.289 is the lap time to be beaten. Can Slick eclipse it? Through the castle section, it looks very, very composed there in the Hassan as Slick journeys on through the rest of this Baku City street circuit. We see what his reward will be. In the land of fire, Slick looks to publish some red-hot form, but through the middle sector he has lost time to Gupta's provisional pole time through the final few corners of this track. Let's see what he can do. At a fiercely quick street circuit, we will be seeing speeds closing in on and eclipsing 200 miles per hour. Slick will surely do that. No, he won't, because he will come into the pit. And that lap attempt will be erased. So it's back to Gupta then, who is on an out lap, and he will look to extend his advantages. Matt now into the top three. Beautifully choreographed attempt there from the Aston Martin, who may just book his best start, best qualifying position for the season so far. The green machine glittering here in the land of fire. And our former race winner in this division is back at the sharp end. But then back to Gupta, racing through turns 3 and 4 in his AlphaTauri, a team that took their final podium position to date, courtesy of Pierre Gasly in 2021. But Gupta, as he pins down the throttle, will come towards turn 7. You can see how strong Gupta is with the front end of this AlphaTauri, and he's millimetres away from the barrier, but it's perfect through every single apex, illustrating why he is the man to beat so far in this championship. Our 2-time champion looking to make it 3 times in a row. He has given himself the best possible opportunities. It's been 3 consecutive race victories at the start of this campaign. He will look to make it 4. But he's up through the first 2 sectors of this lap. He'll get a bit of a slipstream. Well, he may have got a bit of a slipstream from one of the Williams ahead, but they clear out of sight for Gupta's AlphaTauri, and it is left to him and him alone to race towards the finish line. But he is going to abort this attempt, so he will not be strengthening his advantage. Hydrant through the first third of the lap, improving by over a third of a second, and he is possibly chancing the prospect of a top 3 start then. In the Red Bull, we can see him slapping the wall slightly, and let's see if it's hindered him. Yes, it has. He's lost time through the middle sector. So as he looks to close in on Matt Zubo, has that little brush with the barrier through turn 15 curtailed his chances. Down the long start-finish straight now. And this is where you want the maximum top-end speed, where you ideally have the thinnest rear wing possible. Obviously, you need to get that balance around this circuit with the slow speed corners, with turn 1 not being one of them, but Hydrant hitting the wall nonetheless. With slow speed corners and a tally of them across the circuit, but with also a long back straight, you want the perfect balance of grip through the corners and, of course, that top end speed. And Hydrant has enough of it, it seems, to overcome Matt Zuvo, and he nestles his Red Bull into the top 3. We now have De Grotte in the Aston Martin coming into the pits. And it has been a rather troubling start for Aston Martin so far this season. They've certainly had a few setbacks so far. They look to, well, definitely overcome that. So then, as we enter the final 3 minutes of this qualifying session, we have Hydrant still out on track, but it seems like he's on an in-lap. Provokes also seems like he's on an in-lap, but Slick in the Haas, warming up his tyres. He will look forward to at least giving himself a chance to close in on Gupta. So then, Slick weaving this way and that way, trying to generate heat into his tyres. Let's see if he can do just that for one final attempt here in qualifying. He will come through the final braking zone, and it is now pedal to the metal down the start-finish straight. This track has had its comparisons with Adelaide, of course, the famous street circuit which held the Australian Grand Prix between 1985 and 1995. The fierce speed that would be reached around that circuit is very much akin to this track, but the Baku City street circuit, which has, well, still retained a punishing nature, which Adelaide certainly did, is providing drama still, although the big comparison you could say with Adelaide is A, I personally prefer it, and B, Adelaide, of course, being the home of some of the most iconic races of all time. But here we are in Baku nonetheless, and we certainly have had iconic moments through the years. Noticeably the hectic 2017, 2018 and 2021 races. We certainly hope that for all the promise that the track has delivered in years gone by, it will deliver more drama this year. Oh! And Horridby, who has joined the session, has clattered with Matt Zuvo after bringing out the yellow flags after all through turn 15. It's not been the best start for the Merc in this qualifying session, but Slick now coming through the exit of turn 15, and he's dancing with the rear of the car, putting down the power, the rear end drifting away, and he loses time. So Gupta sees his nearest challenger fall. It looks set to be 4 positions in a row for Lil Gupta. As you can see there, Horridby and Matt coming perilously close to one another and hitting each other. And once again, spat the pair of them into the wall, and that's going to wreck both Matt's and Horridby's attempts in this qualifying session. Hydrant has seen the end of his session due to being in the pit lane. Grimmy in the AlphaTauri sees his teammates on pole position, but he wants to join him at the sharp end of the grid, going into turn 15. Avoiding the wall, which could not be said for the likes of Antonio Giovinazzi and Lance Stroll last year, but Grimmy improving by a quarter of a second through the first 2 sectors. This could possibly bring him a 3rd place start, which would be absolutely amazing for AlphaTauri to have 2 cars within the top 3. It will certainly lend them a landslide of optimism for the race. But Grimmy will reach the line, and Grimmy will improve to the top 3. This has been arguably the best possible qualifying for AlphaTauri, but their lead driver looks to go even quicker. A blistering lap is being set by Gupta, and he extends his margin to just shy of 0.8 of a second. Of course, it's him that delivers. What a job from him, what a job from Gatekeeper, up into P5, quickly displaced by De Grotte. So it looks like it may just be 5th and 7th for Aston Martin. Matt Zuvo being held up there by Horridby, and that really did rip apart any chance of him improving in this qualifying session. But as Robbo is the final driver to reach the line, you know, of course, it is that man's session once more. Gupta, who has never won around the Baku City street circuit here in Formula Premier, has given himself the best possible opportunity He's on pole by a mammoth, well, nearly 8/10 of a second. Once more, it is red hot form being captured by Gupta, but this time it is in the land of fire. So he will start this race from pole position. Slick will line up alongside him with Grimmy in third. Although domination was certainly demonstrated in this qualifying session, get ready for, well, everything but that in this race where predictability is certainly erased, where drama, momentum, and pure action will take centre stage. Don't go anywhere. This race will soon be underway. Yeah, so it does seem that we are now just switching lobbies. So we will switch lobbies, which means there will be a slight delayed start to this Azerbaijan Grand Prix, but nonetheless, the action will be delivered certainly within 10 minutes. So don't go anywhere because we have a thrilling race ahead of us. So then, with the conclusion of qualifying. And while we have this break, let's just run you through kind of the perspective we have after Gupta secured his 4th consecutive pole at the start of season 3 of Formula Premier. So he obviously has been in pole position for the first 4 races this season. This by the largest margin so far. The previous biggest margin was at the French Grand Prix, where he was on pole by 0.675 seconds. And, well, Gupta was, of course, in a league of one that day. But with a 29-point advantage in the championship, Gupta already has that luxury of, well, knowing he will be the championship leader at the end of this event. Whether that gives him more confidence, whether that makes him more nervous in terms of what we will see with his racing, we will have to see. But it looks ominous for the opposition at the start of this campaign. Whoever can rein him in, well, they have one hell of a task. But we will have to see what he can do. Of course, he looked just in a league of one in this qualifying session once more, but Azerbaijan has seen many twists and turns take shape. Only in 2016 and 2019 has the pole sitter gone on to win the race in around the Baku City Street circuit in real life Formula One. So unpredictability is certainly of an abundance on this tarmac. So then it seems like we are now going to be getting into this session, this Grand Prix, and enjoy this brilliant flavour of racing action taking centre stage here at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Could this be yet another path to Gupta's global tour of perfection? Or will his opposition have their say? If you also have joined us before the Mexico City Grand Prix qualifying session gets going, well, hopefully we are more than a filler between the real life action. Let's hope that we have an intriguing race ahead of us. And in the hands of our drivers, we do certainly hope so. But they will have their time to just dial in their setups, choose their strategies. We know in 2022, the race start rules have been altered. So the Q2 rule, where whichever drivers get into Q3, whichever tyres they set their time that they got into Q3 on, those tyres would be their race start sets. Well, of course, that is no longer the case. So there is that flexibility with strategy. Now, commonly, it is a one-stop around this circuit, although there are many slow speed corners, and although you are utilising a lot of grip, you lose so much time making a pit stop around this circuit, and losing track position is very much critical because you're then behind a car, obviously, but around this circuit there is a lot more trepidation, so the drivers want to avoid that, particularly through the one stop. But that's not to say the undercut is not powerful, and if a driver is able to execute that opportunity, do not be surprised to see it come about. But this 20-turn circuit, you can have action going on through each and every one of them, whether that's in this racing division, whether that's in any racing division around this circuit. This is a circuit that delivers and will hopefully deliver once more. So then, as we still wait for the drivers just to get their setups right, just to recognise their strategies, And we wait. We do wait. It's going to be, well, such an intriguing race. We know that Gupta will still be the championship leader after this race, but we know now that damage will be on for the race, we know that it's going to be difficult to keep it on the road, and this race could morph into a race of attrition. Now, frankly, if anyone does have any questions, please feel free to put it in the Twitch chat. I'm going to have a look at it. By the way, Gupta, the only instructions I can see in the Discord chat is it's in the Racing Etiquettes channel. But I don't know if that's about lobby more than anything, so I hope that answers your question, Gupta. So then we still wait for the drivers just to sort out their cars. So then we're still waiting for the action to get going. So then it does seem that we will be able to get going. I'm not going to be able to check Discord any longer because my eyes are now very much focused on the screen in front of me for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. What a treat we have for this Saturday afternoon. We are to be feasted with sublime action. So, as the drivers set off on their formation laps, you can see the varying strategies between our drivers. Gupta on pole on the hard compound tyres, Slick, Grimmy, Hydrant, De Grotte, all on the mediums. That should give them that initial grip off the line, particularly in the second phase of the start. We know that turn one isn't so far away, so you're not going to be as punished around this track for a poor start, but it may be indispensable to get, well, for Slick to get the start, to get track position and lead the race from Gupta. But Gupta alongside Gatekeeper, Matt Zuvo, the J-Lol, Robbo Snipes and Horridby all on the hards. Interestingly, no one on the softs. That would possibly indicate either a two-stop or a struggling one-stop would be used to maximise that strategy. But Gupta weaving from left to right, he's a long way clear of Slick. It's the Haas going at a rather pedestrian pace on this reconnaissance lap. Gupta will slow down slightly, just so his car doesn't overheat on the grid while he is waiting for his rivals to form up. But Horridby only going through turn 7 as Gupta approaches turn 14. So this may be quite irritating for the AlphaTauri as he may be left to lie on the grid for a long while. You can still see Slick taking, giving as wide a berth as possible to Gupta ahead. But the AlphaTauri will continue. Hydrant and Zazon Bolchka both disqualified from the formation lap, that will certainly hinder them, as they will not be able to get their tyres and brakes up to temperature, and that could certainly penalise them at the race start. But the pole sitter of Gupta arriving to the grid very, very shortly. Here in the land of fire, he looks to continue his red-hot start to the season. 4 poles. Could he convert that into 4 victories at the start of this campaign? We will have to see. Slick sensing an opportunity to win his first race in Formula Premiere. But 26 laps ahead of us, 26 laps of the unknown, and we will dive into it around a track that has provided unpredictability through the years. What is going to be delivered today as we race on the streets of Azerbaijan? Slick with a promising start, but he's not able to trouble Gupta going into turn 1. The AlphaTauri leads ahead of Slick. It looks like there, Matsubo running wide through turn 1, incurring damage to his front wing, and he drops down into 10th place. Oh, and there's a massive collision there going into turn 2. Horridby, Hydrants, both coming to blows and are both out of this race in the first couple of corners. The conclusions of their race etched into the barriers off of the exits of turn 2, and we started with 11, we're now down to 9. So Horridby and Hydrant both out of this race. I said that Hydrant, after being disqualified from the formation lap, may struggle at the start. Struggle is one thing, a race ending crash is another, and the Red Bull race results have certainly not landed in his favour this season, and in a race where, well, first you have to finish, Hydrant isn't going to race on beyond the second turn. So the safety car has been deployed. And that will mean the drivers will close back up on one another. We will have some drivers pitting. I am almost certain Zazon Bojka will pit with a broken front wing. Let's see, does Robbo Snipes have a damaged front wing? Doesn't really seem like that from here, but I'm sure he will make a pit stop. But let's see if any of the drivers will venture off into the pit lane. Of course, this is only the first lap of the Grand Prix, and you don't really want to relinquish track position, but Gupta will stay out. Slick dived into the pits, he stays out, so too does Grimmy, so too does De Grotte, so does Gatekeeper and the J-Lol, but Matsubo then coming into the pits. It looks like in the Discord he claims responsibility for the first corner tangle, but he will get rid of his hard compound tyres, bolt on the softs, and this may be a bold strategy, possibly being executed by Matt. Zazon Bojka also pits for the softs as the McLaren drops down into 9th place. But Gupta leading this race from Slick. Grimmy 3rd, De Grotte 4th. As we look at who got the best start, well, it was only real changes from 4th downwards. The J-Lo and Robert Snipes, the big winners at the start, gaining 3 places. But the biggest loser has to be Hydrant, who is out after starting from the 2nd row. So we're under the safety car here in Azerbaijan. And the safety car has, well, proved a fixture almost to many Azerbaijan Grand Prix. We saw it in 2017, 2018 and 2021, as well as, of course, in the F2 series, which has seen many safety cars as well. But here in Formula Premiere, after the first lap, we are under safety car conditions. And the Aston Martin safety car leading Gupta. So we should be having another tour under safety car conditions. It seems likely. It's normally a minimum of 3 laps on this game. But when it comes to safety car restarts, it will be particularly interesting as, well, you can see this long start-finish straight. Gupta will probably want to launch as late as he possibly dare, because the slipstream is going to be so incredibly powerful around this track. You can see Gupta's rear wing, you can see Slick's rear wing to a larger extent. These are large rear wings being carried around this circuit, large enough for the slipstream to be ultimately powerful enough as Matt comes into the pits once more as RoboSnipes now out of this race. The Ferrari going into the first corner alongside Horridby and alongside Hydrant. He joins them on the sidelines. What on earth happened? It seems like he's injured his car, his Ferrari, going into the turn 1 barriers, and that is perplexing. And he says that his rear wing was, I won't repeat it word for word, but seems like his rear wing was very much damaged from the first corner incident, so he could not carry on. But that brings us down to 8 runners in this race, and according to Hydrant, the race has been red flagged, so we will be restarting this race, according to Hydrant at least. Seems like Gupta's left the session. It seems like Gupta's the only one that has left the session so far, and we're going to need to be decisive on whether we are red flagging this race, because the safety car will probably be coming into the pits at the end of this lap. But still Gupta, okay, Zazon Bodka as well, also exiting this race, it seems. So yeah, it seems like the majority of drivers are now leaving the lobby, so we will be restarting. I mean, nonetheless, I still want to see what goes on here. Interestingly, the 2 Williams are the only drivers still out on track. So yeah, we will definitely be restarting this Azerbaijan Grand Prix. What you see before you will not be a reflection of the race. So, unfortunately, we will have to leave the lobby and we will be restarting this event. So, the nerve settles down a bit. Boiling temperatures of wheel-to-wheel combat will just calm down a bit. But we will be restarting. So, wow. Make sure you get ready for another race restart. Let's hope we don't lose as many drivers this time around. So then, I believe that's our first red flagged race of the season. So, well, you've got to tick something off the box. RoboSnipes suggesting a rolling start. Would be interesting. That would be interesting. So, let me just, sorry, one and all, for not really talking much, just trying to gather information and trying to possibly invite some people. But we are, well, nearly an hour into this stream and we haven't really had an official race start. So Azerbaijan already delivering drama, but perhaps not in the form that we would expect. But before we get into the race, but using this precious time as well, let's have a look at the standings so far. So we know Gupta is very much in the box seat so far this season. He leads with 84 points to his name after the first 3 races, including a sprint victory around Silverstone. Slick is second for Haas, 55 points to his name, 29 behind Gupta. Hydrant third on 49, the J-Lol fourth on 28. So a considerable gap between third and fourth, but obviously we know also a considerable gap between first and second. We have Shadows in fifth. Unfortunately, he's unable to race tonight. We have Maxi Monster in sixth, ahead of De Grotte. Then we have Grimmy in eighth. So Maxi Monster on 20 points, De Grotte on 15, Grimmy on 13, Kerdre on 10, followed by Ellie on 8, Horridsby on 8, Gatekeeper on 8, J Contra also on 8, and then we have Dumbest Basket, Zazon Bodka, the pair of them on 4 points, and we have Matt Zuva on 3 points, and then Revokes, Robo Snipes, and Flawless all on a single point apiece. And then our non-scorers so far this season, those that have actually participated in Tier 1 but have not registered a point: Funky Delia, Burton, Brother Troll, Briefing Cow, Owen, and We the Best. So then, I've given you a bit of a rundown through the standings. Let's see if we will be able to get going. So then, let's see if we are able to start. I'm just currently looking at an onboard with the JLAR, and I'll try and give an insight into what happens, because obviously you guys cannot see it. So going into turn 1, if my phone actually obliges, going into turn 1, it seems like, so we have Matt to the outside, we have Hydrant to the inside, we have Gatekeeper even tighter into the apex of the first corner than Hydrant. So the Williams and the Red Bull colliding. The pair of, well, the Hydrant then is forced into Matt. So Matt and Hydrant taking off the road, Hydrant spinning round. Then going into turn 2, we have Gatekeeper ahead of his Williams teammate. And then we have, it looks like Horridsby going deep on the brakes. I suspect that's where Hydrant ended his race, in inverted commas. So yeah, it looks like absolute carnage. So yeah, a hectic start. Let's hope we avoid that in terms of crashes and race ending damage this time around. Okay, right. I know this is not Formula One related, but Leeds are beating Liverpool, so I'm quite pleased. But back to the back to the action. Yeah, I'm not a Liverpool fan, but let's focus on this Azerbaijan Grand Prix then. So The race start has been reshaped, and it gives those that lost out at the first start that chance to dial themselves back into contention, submit their setups, work out their strategies, and just hope that this race will be clean for them. It is a delightful day here in Azerbaijan, the sun beating down upon the tarmac. But who will it shine upon in this race? We know Gupta's the favourite, of course, on pole by just shy of 0.8 of a second on this one of the longest tracks on the Formula One calendar. In 2022, only shorter than Jeddah and Spa-Francorchamps. Come 2023, there will be one more track, just a little bit longer than Baku, being in the form of the Las Vegas Street Circuit. This is still a very long track here in Baku. Normally 51 laps are contested. It will just be the 26 here in this 50% race. But we hope in these 26 laps we will have some poignant drama to be delivered. So then, once more, we try and calm down the nerves, which may be getting to boiling points for some, but may be relished by others. We do have a formation lap ahead of us just before this race restart. We will have the normal 26 laps ahead of us, but the drivers once more on the grid, once more trying to get their formation laps underway. And let's have a look at their race starting tyres. So then, Gupta and Slick both on the hard. So Slick switching to the hards for this restart, not liking the mediums. Grimmy, Hydrants, De Grotte, all on the mediums. I don't think that's changed. Gatekeeper, Matsubo, the pair of them on the hards. Zazon Vodka mediums. Then we have the JLo, Robo Snipes, and Horridby on the hards. So I think there are just a few drivers switching to those tyres. But these drivers very much committing to a one-stop strategy, knowing that losing track position can be quite pivotal around this track. Overtaking is possible, but if you get stuck behind a driver through this middle portion of the circuit, you are going to lose heaps, and I mean heaps of time. And on a track where go offline and you could find the wall, it's going to be very challenging just to keep your composure. So track position will be favoured by some. But the pursuit of speed and the pursuit of perfection will be thirsted by others. All Slick going this way and that way to generate heat in his tyres, but the rear end getting loose through the castle section. Of course, no damage having to be incurred on this formation lap. But that did cause a minor concern for the Haas. But Gupta leading going into turn 16, and he will ease towards the grid for the start of this Azerbaijan Grand Prix. And one driver that will not be easing to the grid is Horridby. Through the exit of turn 15, he lights up the rear tyres. He's trying to execute a 3-point turn. Let's hope we don't get into Raghunathan territory. And he hasn't, thankfully. But Horridby, who was not really able to set a representative lap time in qualifying, is going to join his competitors rather late on in this formation lap. So for the likes of Gupta, who is just nestling his car onto the grid now, he's going to have to sit there for a massive amount of time. Slick not even on his grid marks yet. So this could really trouble the AlphaTauri, but you can see now Horridby arriving to his marks. So we have our drivers in formation. Like I said on the first start, we have 26 laps ahead of us around a track that has delivered drama through the years. What drama is going to be delivered on this Azerbaijan tarmac? It's lights out and away we go. Slick struggling off of the start on the dirty side of the grid. It looks like he's under pressure from Grimmy, who's chancing a move around the outside of turn 1, and that's a perfectly executed move. AlphaTauri running 1 and 2 through the first couple of corners, and Slick has been hit. Slick has been hit there, I believe, by Gatekeeper, but the Haas dropping down into 10th place, destroying his front wing, and with that hit from behind, perhaps destroying his chances of a race win. Dejection being injected into the veins of the Haas for a race that could have promised so much. He has fallen victim to another driver's, let's say, mishap. I believe it was Gatekeeper who went rather deep on the brakes going into turn 2. I apologise if it wasn't him. But it seemed like he was clipped by the Williams, and Slick dropping down into 11th place. Let's hope he hasn't incurred too much rear wing damage. If he has, well, that's going to be dejecting for him, as he will really struggle with the car through the remainder of this race. But after the virtual safety car was out on track, we are back racing here in Baku, and Azerbaijan Bojka now visits the wall. The McLaren losing his front wing, dropping down into last place. And that's two drivers that will have to make a pit stop through green flag running. But as we are back underway here in Baku, closing in on his teammate Gupta, De Grotte closing in on Gatekeeper, the Williams just about ahead of the Aston Martin. Someone clipping the wall through turn 18. No one exiting the race, but De Grotte and Gatekeeper going side by side down the start-finish straight here in Azerbaijan. And that is a vicious crash between the pair of them. The Aston Martin, in a horrible and a rather perturbing impact, exits this race, colliding with the Williams, and that is not an incident that you would like to see. The safety car being deployed, and wow. We know with the high-speed nature around this Baku City Street circuit, we have seen one of the most ferocious crashes on this track. The Aston Martin gaining air after colliding with Gatekeeper. His race comes to a premature end, and that Aston Martin is one injured car. The safety car, like I said, deployed, but while our hearts sink, as that was a perturbing, very perturbing sight. So we're now down to 10 drivers in this race. Azerbaijan Bojka has pitted, Slick has pitted. So thankfully safety car is granting them a slice of fortune as they're able to climb back up onto the grid and join their competitors. Azerbaijan Bojka incidentally pitting to the soft, Slick to the mediums. So Azerbaijan Bojka, who has left this session, if he does rejoin, he should be able to be quite racy at this safety car restart. But the Williams of Gatekeeper, somehow escaping race-ending damage, comes into the pits to change his front wing to switch to the medium compounds. Looks like he will re-emerge in 8th place, ahead of Slick and ahead of Azerbaijan Bojka. But Gupta still leads. Grimmy is second. It looked rather troubling his teammate before that crash between Gatekeeper and De Grotte. Grimmy was really closing in on Gupta, so the mediums understandably showing a lot of potential at this race start in the opening laps of this Grand Prix. Gupta will have that durability on the hards, and he will be on the quicker tyres come the race's end. So then lap 3 of 36 here at the Baku City Street Circuit. We have Gupta leading an AlphaTauri 1-2. We have the J-Lol 3rd, Hydrant 4th, Horridby 5th, Matsuvo 6th, Robbo Snipe 7th, Gatekeeper 8th, and then we have Slick and Zazon Bojka. The McLaren bringing up the field, and actually Gupta has lost a chunk of his front wing. You can see the right-hand end plate of his front wing is damaged. That may have been why Remy was really troubling Gupta in the opening laps of this race. So Gupta is going to lose so much, well, a noticeable amount of front downforce with a rather wounded front wing. So Grimmy perhaps sniffing an opportunity. But Gupta, like I said, leads. He has that track position, but he is without part of his front wing. Let's have a look at the big winners and losers from this second start. Grimmy up a place, the J-Lol up 6 places. So too is Horridby. Matsuno up a place, Rolly Snipes off a place, and then we have Gatekeeper Slick, Zizon Bojka, all big losers at the start, none more so though than De Grotte, who is of course out of this race after a horrible crash down the start finish straight. So then, lap 4 of 26 here in Azerbaijan. Gupta leading. It seems like the safety car may be venturing off into the pits at the end of this lap. And that will give Gupta the chance to just streak away from the pack, if he's given the chance. And that is also if his front wing doesn't hinder his pace too much. But let's see, is the safety car going to come in at the end of this lap? It will. So, Gupta is given the reins. He will control this safety car restart. He will have to wait for the safety car to go into the pits before this restart. Lewis Hamilton very nearly getting in hot water over such an incident in 2017. And no, I am not referencing that clash with Sebastian Vettel. So Gupta just allowing a wide berth to the safety car. Grimmy not really closing in on him. He does need to stay within 10 car lengths at this safety car restart, but Gupta will pin down the throttle. He will get us back underway here in Azerbaijan, and Grimmy will be waiting in the wings. So, green flag action once more here in Baku. We have Slick down the inside of Gatekeeper, has chancing a move into turn 1. He goes a little bit deep, and Gatekeeper looking to fight back. Going into turn 2 on board there with the Williams. He's been passed also by Zazon Bojka. It has not been the best restart for him, but Slick powering past now. Robbo Snipes. The Haas is on an absolute charge at this safety car restart. He's passed 1, he's passed 2 so far, and there's the J-Lol. The J-Lol in the Williams. Where chance meets agony for the Williams, and where chance meets agony also for Matsuvo. 2 front running contenders spinning within a matter of moments of each other. So really frustrating restart for the pair of them, but Grimmy now leads this race. While all that was happening, we have a new race leader, Grimmy, passing his teammates, but losing the race slightly. Of turn 12, Gupta will look to close back in. But the baton has been passed, and it has been passed to Grimmy. He has the chance to disrupt Gupta's run of peerless perfection. Now leads this race with Gupta running in behind him. That front wing, coupled with the harder compound tyres, possibly troubling Gupta, but so much action transpiring at this safety car restart. Grimmy leads Gupta, leads Hydrant. Slick in fourth, could turn that into third. One lap after this safety car restart, and after being spun out through the first couple of corners. This has been the most remarkable race revive so far from the Haas, and Slick runs side by side with Hydrant, battling into turn one. The Haas will dance and dazzle around the outside. He will touch the Red Bull slightly, but he will battle past. Inspiration, igniting the Haas, proving that a race recovery is possible, and a race recovery can be inspirational. This Haas is a force of nature right now, passing cars here, there and everywhere. The two AlphaTauris will have to look over their shoulders because they will have a peerless presence in this race of Slick looming large in their mirrors. Azerbaijan Vodka, despite not being in control of his car, runs 5th place ahead of Gatekeeper, the Williams. It's an all Larry with his car. But we have Hydrant now currently ahead of Azerbaijan Vodka, but Hydrant's possibly struggling as the McLaren looks to close in. And Hydrant's even letting Azerbaijan Vodka pass then, so the McLaren up into 4th place, but the Red Bull will have to look in his mirrors because Gatekeeper is really closing in, but Grimmy still leading this race. Gupta though closing in, Slick though closing in even more rapidly. This is an engrossing race taking centre stage. 3 drivers separated by just over a second. DRS now enabled. 2 AlphaTauris lead this race, but the man that has the speed right now is the man running in 3rd place. Slick wants to disrupt Gupta's run of dominance, which at the moment is coming to an end here in Azerbaijan, but still 20 laps of racing to be had. Things can drastically shift from one moment of fortune to another. But Horridby registering the quickest lap of the race so far, a 1:43.470. That would earn him the bonus points, but as the cars become lighter, as the fuel burns down through this race, expect that time to be defeated as this race progresses by. But you can see Gupta just closing in still on Grimmy. Slick very much part of this battle as well. We have Hydrant closing in on the relentless Azerbaijan Vodka, with Gatekeeper also keeping an eye on this battle. RoboSnipe's currently ahead of Matt Zuvo, and it seems like Slick is oh so close there to Gupta now, separated by less than 0.2 of a second, going on towards turn 15. Oh, Gupta locking up, avoiding the walls just about, but that's going to hurt his tyres, and that's going to give the Haas even more of an incentive to pass him down this start-finish straight. Gupta will have DRS, Slick will as well, and it's who can maximise their exit the best. On board there with Gupta. He looks to trouble Grimmy, but Slick waiting in the wings. Possibly they could run 3 wide down the start-finish straight, but Gupta progressing towards Grimmy. We have Slick around the outside of turn 1. Grimmy goes in deep. Gupta sensing an opportunity to pass, but Slick still very much in this battle. The battle commences on towards turn 2, the AlphaTauri to the inside, but the Haas looking a bit more efficient on the power, now running within the slipstream of Grimmy, but Grimmy now slotting in front of Gupta. Let's see what they can do. They're going to run 3 wide into turn 3. Oh, this is absolutely brilliant. Gupta and Slick still running side by side. The Haas grants himself the place, but he bashes into the barriers. Then the two AlphaTauris come to blows. Golden dust falling upon this golden stage. Drama being delivered in an abundance. This is Formula Premiere as we know it. And these are storylines being written. Storylines of pure adrenaline. Pure amazement. And it is Slick that leads this race after running plumb last. It is Gupta running second. It is Grimmy now down to third, almost exiting this race, almost clouting the wall off of the exit of turn 7. But this is a thrilling race transpiring here in Azerbaijan. Does Slick have front wing damage? That is the million-dollar question right now, because he certainly almost hit the wall going into turn 4. Whether he escaped damage, that's another question. But Rotway Snipes, it seems like he is going to drop down into last place. Horridby and the J-Roll both him. And it seems like Grimmy has really injured his chances of winning this race. He is now way down the order as Matsuvo spins out once more. Now down. Well, he still remains P7. But that is, well, a race that is proving rather troubling for him now. Grimmy pits, it looks like he has indeed. Maybe he hasn't injured his front wing, but he looks to get rid of these medium compound tyres. He switches to the hards already on at the conclusion of lap 8 of 26 here in Azerbaijan. But my oh my, how the landscape of this race has shifted. One favourite arising, then swiftly dwindling. Drives of unpredictability, infeasibility, and mastery being conceived. Formula Premiere at its absolute best so far. It is Slick leading this race after running at the back of the grid. It is Gupta running second. It is Hydrant running third. It is Gatekeeper running fourth and almost making contact with the barriers. Grimmy earning himself a time penalty. Oh, Slick once again brushing the wall. Again, it seems like he has escaped front wing damage, but he is chancing his car so much. He is hell-bent on winning this race, on ending Gupta's run of perfection. But it is Gupta still, who you could possibly say is the favourite. He runs in second place on the hard compound tyres and is showing promising speed. But it is Slick that holds that all-important track position. These two nearly running nose to tail as we start lap 10 of 26. It seems like we have just calmed down the action slightly after moments of melodrama. But we still have a battle for the lead being contested between two of the quickest drivers in this division. Slick leading Gupta, the AlphaTauri. Can see that Haas rear wing very much in sight. But as they waltz through each and every one of these corners around the Baku City Street circuit, they look to put their competitors to rest in the battle for race victory. It would be unsurprising if Slick does soon come into the pits. We are inching towards half distance and the medium compound tyres start to, well, it looks like they're wearing slightly thin. So Slick, after running at the back and now runs at the very front, he will surely be relinquishing his lead very soon, as he will definitely be making a pit stop. But it doesn't look like it will be this lap, or indeed it actually will. So Slick does come into the pits to get rid of his medium compound tyres. He's going to switch to the hards on lap at the conclusion of lap 10 of 26 to start lap 11. The Haas will stop on his mucks and will change his front wing. So he did hit the wall. It has hindered his speed. And my, oh my, this could be race changing here for Slick. That change of the front wing will certainly cost him a noticeable amount of time. And he's going to rejoin this race side by side with Grimmy. And Grimmy goes in deep. A chance laid before him, within his sight, within his grasp. But that chance, in milliseconds, vanishes. Horridby now right behind Slick. These two now in battle. Horridby with tyres that are very much up to temperature. Slick with harder compound tyres that are not up to temperature. He's been hit from behind and he then hits the wall. So Horridby making contact with the Haas, then passing him as they emerge towards turn 7. This has not been the favourable outlet that Slick would have wanted. The Mercedes progressing ahead, and after leading this race, after making the comeback of dreams, Slick has it all to do. He will hope, he will dearly hope that he is without front wing damage, as Horridby got very late on the brakes going into turn 5, into the turn 5-6 chicane. The gasp of terror being heard from the Haas garage. They can certainly smell an opportunity of race victory, but will that elude them on this Baku stage? We will have to see. Now, Hydrant has pitted. He's also changed his front wing, so he's not going to be able to jump ahead of Slick, but Horridby defending from the Haas down the start-finish straight. The Haas will have DRS off of the exit of turn 2, but as the Mercedes runs out wide, this is going to incense Slick. He was ahead of Horridby. He was passed after being hit by the Mercedes, and it is urgent, it is imperative, it is indispensable that the Haas gets this move done. This could be his race-winning fortunes transpiring right here, and he gets the move done going into turn 3, and relief, sheer relief on the faces of the Haas team. This battle has cost Slick time, but the move has been made, and the Haas is back ahead of the Mercedes. We now have yellow flags out on track, and Gatekeeper, after colliding with De Grotte earlier on in this race, he goes for a spin. Max will, well, be within touching distance of his deficits to Gatekeeper, which was once over 10 seconds. It's now down to just about 1 second. And that is going to be worrying. That is going to be so worrying for Williams. As Gupta now pits, so little Gupta from the hard compound tyres is going to possibly switch the mediums as Gatekeeper lifting off through turn 19. But Gupta changing his front wing, getting rid of his medium compound tyres. Well, where will he re-emerge? This is going to be so tight. And Gupta remaining in his pit box seemingly for an eternity, but Matt getting ahead, Slick getting ahead. So Gupta down into 3rd, possibly down into 4th. He's going to re-emerge side by side with Horridby. Once more the Mercedes in battle with one of our race-winning contenders, and the Mercedes is ahead on track. We know Gupta will be on the softer compound tyres all the way to this Grand Prix conclusion, but he has at least 2 overtakes to be made if he is to recapture that winning feeling once more. A winning run that has stretched 2 monarchies. It could stretch 3 prime ministers, and whether that's down to Gupta's brilliance or if that's down to the farcical nature of UK politics, I'll leave that for you to decide. But Horridby ahead of Gupta, the AlphaTauri on these medium compound tyres. He will be gaining temperature, but he will be losing time beneath the rear wing of the Mercedes. A frantic race so far. We're only reaching half distance. Slick within half a second of Matsuvo. He wants to retake the lead. On the straight ahead as Horridby running in deep through turn 15. Gupta running side by side with him, granting himself the inside line going into turn 16 and permitting himself the advantage. Horridby re-emerges in behind the AlphaTauri, but he should, the Mercedes, he should have DRS down the start-finish straight. Matt Zubo defending from Slick down the start-finish straight. The Haas with DRS, with the use of the toe, he's going to run side by side with the Aston Martin, and Slick is back into the lead. Gupta still running ahead of Horridby and will remain ahead going into turn 1. Grimmy passing Zazon Bochka after leading this race. Now up into 5th place. And it seems like Horridby actually tapping the wall, wounding his car. And Horridby will be losing time, possibly, well, certainly a lot of downforce, and it will cost him most certainly a pit stop. But Gupta is getting back in the groove. The quickest first sector we have seen so far in this race. He closes in on Matt Zubo on lap 14 of 26 here at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. The top 3 running nose to tail, and as Gupta hits the wall once more, he will dearly hope that has not hurt his front wing. We will have to see as Horridby finding the wall and finding his race end through the castle section, which has claimed victims through the years here in Azerbaijan. It claims a victim this time in the form of Horridby. So the safety car for the second time this race being deployed. And what do the drivers do? What do they do? Now this is going to be so tantalising. Slick on the Haas compound tyres will possibly want to get rid of them, so you would think he would pit. But he doesn't. Gupta doesn't. Matt does. And this is the absolute perfect time for the Aston Martin to make his stop, to pit to the medium compound tyres, to not lose as much time as he would under green flag racing. So Matt pitting to the mediums. He will rejoin this race in 5th place. And he will be on tyres that are significantly younger than the likes of Remy, Zazon Bochka and Slick. Although they will only be 2 laps younger than Gupta, they are younger nonetheless. And could Matt Zubo be in the frame for the battle for race victory? So you can see Matt's behind the ghost of the McLaren of Zazon Bochka, who isn't participated in this race, but he runs inside the top 4, which is frankly remarkable. He's 4th ahead of Matt Zubo, and we have Gatekeeper and Robbo Snipes in this race. We have the J-Lol and Hydrants both on soft compound tyres, so they will look to come alive at this safety car restart. But the next chapter of this race is ready to be written. We've had many chapters, thrilling chapters so far in this race, but what will be written? What will the race outcome look like? How will these next few laps decide the race outcome? All will be told. So lap 16 of 26, what a race. Just what a race this has been. So then, the safety car coming into the pits at the end of this lap. As the action calms under the safety car, we will be back underway for 10 laps of racing and 10 laps of racing to the checkered flag. Gupta's race win record hangs in the balance. It dangles by a thread. But who will be there to take it away from him? Could it be Slick that leads this race? Could it be Matt Zubo, who runs on the youngest, freshest tyres in 5th place? We will have to see as we get back racing here in Azerbaijan. It is Slick leading from Gupta, Grimmy third ahead of Zazon Vodka. Matt will pass the McLaren for P4 instantaneously. And it is game on for the Aston Martin. Can he, just can he, execute this opportunity? The same question can be asked for Gupta, who really is closing in on the Haas of Slick. Their battle commences on towards turn 3. Is Gupta going to brave out an overtake? No, he isn't, but he goes in slightly deep. The Haas still runs ahead. The AlphaTauri still runs in behind confidently, cleanly in second place, but Slick losing the rear. Gupta going into turn 5. He teases a move around the outside. Slick still holding track position, but Gupta is oozing confidence. He's going to grant himself possibly the inside line going into turn 7. He's playing it so conservatively. He knows what is on the line here in Formula Premiere. He knows the records that he is writing. He knows the performances he is delivering. But he knows that this stage can catch out the many. And he does not want to be one of them. The J-Log passing gatekeeper, Hydrant's passing gatekeeper, Robo Snipes passing gatekeeper, the Williams once more finding trouble on track. But as we focus on the battle out in front, Gupta does want to dispense of Slick's dangling race lead as Matt Zubo passes Grimmy. One AlphaTauri losing a place as the other one looks to claim one. So it is down the start-finish straight then for Gupta with Slick's rear wing in sight, with the glint of a race lead lurking within view. Gupta, the majesty of his ability, wanting to have a say. Zazon Vodka and the J-Log passing Grimmy, the AlphaTauri coming into the pits. He's going to drop down into P9. And after leading this race earlier on in this Grand Prix, Grimmy may just leave Azerbaijan with so precious little. So Slick still leads this race. Gupta closing in. It is through these slow speed corners where the AlphaTauri will be exuding its confidence the most, on tyres that are preferable, more raceable, but through corners that are not the best for overtaking. The J-Lol passing Zazon Vodka. The J-Lol now up into 4th place on the soft compound tyres. The Williams is an absolute beast. But Gupta still riding beneath the rear wing of Slick, entering the castle section, grabbing a break into the castle section, but keeping it on the island. 1.5 laps remaining of this Grand Prix. Slick doing absolutely everything to keep the AlphaTauri at bay. Matt doing everything to keep Gupta within view. The top three separated by less than a mere 2 seconds. But it is all on the line for these three. Gupta has won each of the first 3 races of this season. Slick started well, not so promisingly after being hit through the second corner. He dropped down the order. Matt was near enough plumb last after a spin, just after the first safety car period. But these three have driven sublime races. They remain in the frame for race victory, but who can seize the moment? Gupta with DRS on Slick. He will look to execute the opportunity, not necessarily going into turn 3 because he's a little too far back, but he is making an impression on the Haas. And he will want to get this move done as soon as possible, because Matt is waiting in the wings, but Gupta with a mighty exit off of turn 4 to the outside of Slick. The Haas defending brilliantly. He seized the inside line. He kept his lead intact. And the AlphaTauri staring down the Haas for yet more turns. On board with Gupta's front wing, you can see the commitment, you can see the input the drivers are having to put into blitz through this section of track. But Slick, one moment of majestic defending was required, was very much executed, but Gupta is going to have a much more strong chance down the start-finish straight with a lovely dose of DRS with the use of slipstream as well. Could this be his moment? The AlphaTauri wants to dispense of the Haas's dangling race leads, and with DRS down the start-finish straight, he will look to breeze past the Haas. You can see the top-end speed really coming alive with the use of DRS down the inside of turn 1. The AlphaTauri thinks about it. He doesn't execute the move. Grimmy spinning to the exit of turn 16. He is still P9, but he's a lot further away from his competitors. But Gupta, is this finally his moment? With DRS on towards turn 3, he battles ahead of the Haas. 4 pole positions in a row at the start of this season. 4 wins in succession. Looks pretty plausible now. He leads this Azerbaijan Grand Prix, and at a track he has not conquered at. He looks set to do so, and Matt, dejectingly, despairingly, disconsolately, he crashes out of P3. The potential, the sheer potential for a race win possibly laid before him. Unconfined misery strikes for the Aston Martin. The green machine has fallen. You can feel the despair. You really can feel the despair of Matt. What a chance. What a chance he has of at least a podium finish, possibly a race win around Azerbaijan. That chance is now a thing of history. The safety car for the 3rd time in this Grand Prix has been deployed. And what are the drivers going to do? Gupta is going to pit. He is going to pit. Slick is going to pit as well. The J-Lol also pits, but he hits the wall into the pit lane. The Williams makes contact with the barriers. Oh my. The Williams wounding his car. Azerbaijan Bodka now leads this race. Slick is 2nd ahead of Gupta. So it looks like, no, he's not. I thought he was, but Gupta will re-emerge ahead of Slick. Hydrant 4th ahead of the J-Lol. Then comes Robert Snipes with the J-Lol crossing the line on pit lane exit. Earns himself a 5-second time penalty. So Azerbaijan Bodka, who's not even in control of his car, lead the Azerbaijan Grand Prix on lap 21 of 26. Dumbfounding drama, just dumbfounding drama arises here in Azerbaijan. So, in the final few laps of this race, the landscape shifts again. Azerbaijan leads. Gupta is second. Slick is third. Hydrant is fourth. Hydrant as well, who was running last at one stage. This is frankly stupefying. It's nonplussing. But this is Formula Premier delivering the most insane, the most hectic drama you could frankly fathom. We have 5 more laps to be completed. We have Azerbaijan in the lead. We have McLaren, who, well, have not scored a position better than 8th place so far this season, but could their fortunes be about to change? The Jalal then pitting in the Williams to serve his time penalty and to change his front wing. He will drop down into 8th place. For all the attrition that has unfolded so far in this race, I'm amazed we still have 8 drivers left, with albeit one of them not really participating. A quake of nerve erupts. This is going to be the most engrossing, the most thundering, the most action-packed ending you could imagine. Azerbaijan, like I said, leads. Gupta is second. Slick is third. Hydrant 4th. Robbo Snipes 5th, Gatekeeper 6th, Grimmy 7th, the J-Lol 8th. This is where calmness and coolness is very much thirsted. And as Matt Zuvo leaves the session after exiting this race in the most heartbreaking way. We have 8 drivers to contest these positions at the conclusion of this race. As the safety car peels off into the pits at the end of this lap, Azerbaijan, the lead McLaren, will take over control. Gupta will hurry him. Slick will hurry him. This is going to be a race conclusion for the ages. As Azerbaijan chosen his moment, Gupta waiting in the wing. So to his Slick, who rides on board then with the Haas. And it looks like he's challenging the AlphaTauri down the start-finish straight. But we are back underway here in Azerbaijan. It is Gupta that leads from Slick. Hydrant down the inside, possibly if Slick going into turn 1, but he can't make the move. Seems like you can see Gatekeeper down the inside of Robbo Snipes. They make contact. The J-Lo also joining in the battle, makes even further contact with the Ferrari, and he fares off much worse. But Gupta back into the race lead. Slick, though, is very much alive in the mirrors of the AlphaTauri. This is not over. This is certainly not over. Hydrant third ahead of Azerbaijan, Robbo Snipes 5th, Gatekeeper 6th, and the Williams possibly into turn 5, chancing a move down the inside. Nothing coming of it. But he does lose the rear, and he does tap the wall. And Gatekeeper now down into 8th place. And that may be his race chances gone. He may just be limited to 8th place in this Grand Prix, Gatekeeper. And a race which has seen everything may just see so little from now up until the checkered flag for the Williams. And it seems like Robert Snipes is really struggling. The safety car restarts, and he does hit the wall so late on the brakes going into turn 50. He rode the curb, he did hit the wall, and he's going to lose a handful of the places. Grimmy gets past, the J-Log does as well. So perhaps Gatekeeper may still be able to get up into 7th place, but now Gupta versus Slick to start lap 24 of 26 here in Azerbaijan. They are separated by about a quarter of a second. We have seen everything from A to Z in this Grand Prix, but we are still promised so much. Race-defining moments are about to come up. Lap 24 of 26. These two are going to give it absolutely everything. They both get very late on the brakes going into turn 3. But Slick's still within touching distance of the AlphaTauri, and it's a race of pure measure until the end now between these two. Seems like the J-Law wanting to get past Azon Bodka. But our eyes most certainly pierced on this battle for the race lead. So much at stake for Gupta, so much at stake for Slick. AlphaTauri versus Haas. The Italian team versus the sole American one, Slick, dancing with the rear of the car through the exit of turn 12. That loses touch for him with Gupta, and he drops to over a second behind the race leader. And Gupta can sigh a breath of enormous relief. He has breathing room, and his precious advantage enlarges. Just over 2 more laps to be contested in this race. Gupta trying to break the slipstream between him and Slick. The slipstream so abundantly noticeable down the start-finish straight, but Slick not really utilising it. Gupta setting the fastest lap of this race so far, as DRS now enabled on this 3rd lap of green flag action. But will the Haas have DRS? He will want it. He will need it to pass the AlphaTauri. But he will not, it seems. Gatekeeper passing Robbo Snipes, the Williams and the Ferrari battling side by side. Robbo Snipes has not pitted. After damaging or destroying his front wing, he has not pitted. So that is rather perplexing for him. So Grimmy ahead of the J-Lol. It doesn't seem like Slick has an answer for Gupta right now. And the AlphaTauri closes in on the penultimate lap of this race. A race that has seen a remarkable amount of action. We have seen monstrous crashes. We have seen thundering drama. We have seen the landscape of this race shift from one end to another. But this track delivers. This race league division delivers. And today has proven why. Gupta eking out an advantage beyond 2 seconds. He's well out of sight of Slick now. And one more tour to be completed for Gupta, where in a race where the odds were stacked against him in moments, well, they're not stacked against him anymore. His class has shone through. And it looks like he's closing in once more. The J-Lol is going to have DRS on Grimmy, so as one AlphaTauri closes in on race victory, the other wants to protect his precious advantage over the J-Lol. It's the battle for 4th place. Grimmy does have a time penalty to be served, so he will inevitably drop behind the Williams. But the J-Lol wants to get this move done on the tarmac, and he has 1 lap to do just that. He has 2 more DRS zones to make that move. This one he is racing through right now, and the second is possibly a drag race to the finish line. out in front. Yes, it's him. It's him again. Gupta has orchestrated a race where measure was thirsted. He delivered measure. Where quality was, of course, craved. He did just that. It has not been plain sailing from the very get-go for the AlphaTauri. He was up against it. He had some fiercely competitive drivers breathing down his neck. But his might and measure was enough in the end to overcome a man that has driven possibly his best race so far this season as the J-Log passes Remy, who clouts the wall. Remy dropping down the order. So as one AlphaTauri sees his race end in a less preferable way, the other is cruising to the checkered flag. A race that has delivered incalculable drama comes to a close. On the streets of Azerbaijan, it is Gupta who stretches his advantage to 2 monarchies and 3 prime ministers. It is Gupta that wins again. Gatekeeper again spinning. And that could put him within touching distance of Robbo Snipes. The Ferrari's going to look to close in on the Williams. But it's Slick that comes home second. Hydrant third. The J-Lo fourth. Zazon Bochka fifth. Remy sixth. Gatekeeper seventh. It seems he will in the end just about clear Robbo Snipes. But for the 4th time this season, the race belongs to Gupta. So then, it's almost a fixture, isn't it, to see this man dance on the podium, dance with glee, with verve and vigour. The AlphaTauri claiming victory once more and stretching his advantage to perhaps beyond what an eye can stretch. 4 poles, 4 wins, and an ominous championship advantage. He is running away, and he is running night and day from the rest. A victory of 1.8 seconds in the end, but, well, a race that could have had contrasting fortunes for the AlphaTauri, but his class shone through and he wins once more. So, well, what a 2 hours that has been. Drama. Unbelievable drama. But still the same old race winner. Gupta victorious for the 4th time this season, for yet another time in Formula Premiere. And surely, evening it in an action-packed race like that, could this quash and quell the dreams of championship glory for his competitors? We will have to see. But, well, one and all, thank you so much for your company as we go from one action-packed event to an action-packed event in the form of real-life Formula One. This Saturday evening has very much been a treat. But make sure you join us next week for when Formula Premiere returns around the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia. But from me, Ben McCarthy, thank you so very much for your company. And until next time, goodbye.